All right, another training camp day down in Philly, and the offense pretty much dominated. However, why is Devin White looking at a glass half full? Plus, Vic Fangio shared his thoughts about playing the rookies, why it will happen, doubled down on linebacker confidence, and was brutally honest about Bryce Huff. No worries though, because Agent Zero is up to the task. Meanwhile, Jalen Carter's added some scary moves to his arsenal, so let's talk about that and all the reasons to be confident on both sides of the ball. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Well, day 2 took place, and how about we start by talking about DeVonta Smith? Since the Slim Reaper said he's been watching a lot of Dallas's CeeDee Lamb as he prepares for the upcoming season. You know, to get a feel for new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore's offense. After all, it was Lamb himself who said Smitty and AJ are going to love playing for Moore and expects big things from them. Which, I mean, I can very much appreciate if only the Cowboys would just go ahead and pay Lamb, who's holding out for a new contract.
How can I get you to stay?
Money.
Well, personally, that's neither here nor there. However, Smitty did speak about Jalen Hurts, saying that the two are very much alike. Saying, I'd say the same way as me, he's a lot more vocal than me, but we're kind of the same. Even killed guys, we just speak when we need to. Just like the message Jalen had for the squad after day 1's practice.
Like we talked about yesterday, man, talent will only take you so far. It's about developing that talent. Teams win championships, and how we practice today, that's how we're going to continue to push each other day by day to get to where we're trying to be. But great first day. Continue to work on your list, watch the film, and come back better tomorrow.
Take care of your bodies.
Eagles on 3, 1, 2, 3.
This team is absolutely bought in, and I love it. However, I'm not just totally in love with Mr. Breed of One's helmet choice. And shout out to Temp Daddy for confirming, but Jalen switched from the Speed Flex to the Axiom helmet, and I get that it's probably better for the players, but honestly, it's just a very odd look, and I'm struggling to come to terms with it. Unlike this helmet here, although, yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased, but it's going to be going to one lucky subscriber as soon as the channel hits 75,000 subscribers. Thanks to the collab with the Eagles' fastest player, Isaiah Rodgers.
All right, let's do a giveaway. I know exactly what we can give away too, but
okay, keep it as a surprise. But you have an idea of it, or should we say what it is right now?
We can give away the white helmet. Nobody has the white helmet.
Are you serious? You give away the white helmet? 75,000 subs and give away the white helmet. Oh my gosh. I might create a burner account to win that thing, quite honestly, if you're going to put that out there. Oh my gosh.
I'll sign it. I should sign it and you should sign it. So I'll sign it, ship it to you.
For real?
Because whoever's the winner contributing to the 75, so that'll be lit.
Oh my gosh, dude. If you
So I'll sign it, ship it to you, and then you can put it behind you or whatever you want to do with it, and then so whenever I ship out the jersey, I'll ship yours as well.
Okay.
And then you hold on to it until the 75, and then we give it away.
There you go. Just be sure to be one of the first 75,000 that hits that sub button. Now, speaking of first, it was Kenny Gainwell who ended up being the first one on the practice field on day 2 in order to get some extra work on the jugs machine. Yet the guys seemed to be prepared and focused, getting in some drill work and prep. Granted, the Jalyx Hunt making noise takeaway from day 1, although it was still impressive, should have the brakes pumped a bit.
You got to give them all fairly equal opportunities, and you don't want guys that right now might be listed as 2 or 3rd team not get reps with the first team against our good offense. So you're constantly manipulating their practice reps from a number standpoint, and also who they're going against.
Honestly, that's fair, because obviously you want as many guys to get as many reps as possible. But I'd still argue that it means at least a little bit for your defensive coordinator to have enough confidence to give you first-team reps on day 1 in camp, especially for a rookie. Plus, you remember the whole frustration Miami players and critics had about Fangio not playing rookies? Yeah, well, that's not exactly accurate.
I'm all for playing the best guys. I think if you looked at my history when we've had rookies, we've played them. And provided they're good enough. We ain't playing somebody just because they're young. You know, if we were an expansion team like I was in 2 places, we might just throw them out there to see what we got. But I don't, we got more serious business here. So if they're worthy of playing, they will play.
Did anyone else get the sense that Fangio already plans to play young guys early? Like, I don't know, but based on the way he said that and the fact that Quinyon Mitchell showed off his versatility by getting reps on the outside and the slot is worth mentioning. I mean, heck, the DC did say up to this point he's been impressed by Q, and I mean, honestly, why wouldn't you for your first-round pick? Oh yeah, Fangio's also been impressed by another former first-round pick in Jordan Davis, saying JD's in fantastic shape and showed some bend that he hasn't seen before. To which, when asked after practice about that comment, the Dancing Bear credited it to all being in the best shape of his life and really honing in on his diet while increasing the workouts. Because this year, JD's really just got one mission.
You don't want to play high because you're going to get rooted out, especially with a, not saying he's short, but a short center like Cam, like Kelsey. you know, those guys are a little bit shorter. You know, their center of gravity is a little bit lower, and you know, you want to make sure you play on their level because once they get under you, it's over with. And you know, the thing I could do is just make myself better. You know, I sense that, and that's one thing that I've been working on. And I think, you know, not trying to make the play all the time. You know, making sure that I eliminate the man in front of me. I think that's a better mindset that I go into with this year. It's just making sure that I destroy the block, and then when I destroy the block, 9 times out of 10, the ball's either going to appear or it's going to be outside, bounced out. But, you know, when you're looking around, you're trying to make the play, and you get lifted like this, it's over with. But it's just little stuff like that. It's just little mindset tweaks and little changes in your game. And, you know, that's one time that, you know, in the OTAs, that's the time that you work on it. And then now during camp, that's the time that you really put it into effect because you don't go against the offensive line every day in OTAs. But now is the time to really show it, and now's the time to practice what you preach.
Okay, it really does feel like something's different. Yes, I know it's day 2 of camp and talk is cheap, but I don't know, something about JD saying ain't no one coming to save us when Fletch left seems to have flipped a switch. So I am curious to see how many more snaps and what kind of workload both he and Jalen Carter can handle this year. At the same time, Fangio's answer to the question of can Bryce Huff play every down was a little worrisome.
Well, I think everybody thought he could, and knowing that the floor was just rush downs, but he's taken the challenge on very well, and I do think he has the talent to do what we want him to do. It's just he's got to get familiar with doing it, and so it will be a work in progress. Does he look like he could do it today? No, but I do think eventually he will.
What does he need to do to become that guy?
Constantly show improvement and a feel. It's more of a feel. He has the talent to do it, but he's never been asked to do it. I don't think in college and nor with the Jets. So it's new, and he's got to become more proficient at it.
Not the greatest endorsement for a guy that you just paid top money to. However, let me be clear, I'm confident in Bryce Huff and I believe that he'll be fine. And honestly, for me, I appreciate Fangio's honesty and candidness. I mean, come on, like Anthony DeBona wrote in a recent article, Fangio's honesty and willingness to reward playing time to those who deserve it will be a breath of fresh air in Philadelphia. Yet I get it for those that are a bit uneasy having heard that about the replacement for Hassan Reddick. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like total freakout mode, how concerned are you about hearing Fangio and what he said about Bryce Huff? Also, on another topic, it was interesting about James Bradberry with the DC admitting you rarely see the transition of cornerback to safety work. Yet JB does potentially have the ability to play there, although he'll also be asked to play some cornerback as well. Now, personally, I'm still going to hold to the fact that I don't believe JB makes it out of Eagles training camp on the roster. And sure, I've seen comments about Minnesota and or LA being potential trade partners due to some recent injuries at that position, so maybe Howie can work his magic there. Yet no matter where you stand on that one, I don't think you can deny who Fangio's favorite is at inside linebacker.
Yesterday was our first day where we did any 11-on-11 work, which is really the true teller when you're evaluating defensive players, because the most fundamental thing you have to do on defense is figure out if it's a run or a pass. And, you know, everything was a pass in the spring. So yesterday was one day of that. But I like Zack. You know, he's a guy that's played very little inside linebacker in his career. We think he can do it. Obviously, Devin's had a career where he has done it. Nakobe, you know, has shown that he can do it in college. Really hadn't had the opportunity to do it here because his first year he's behind 2 good players, and last year he was injured. Same thing with Trotter, Ben, Orn. You know, they're all in the mix, really.
Notice who he mentioned first, which is especially important when you consider the question was phrased as, what do you think about the other inside linebackers? Except just like back at OTAs, Fangio chose to bring up Baun first. And seriously, it does make sense when you think about it. Because not only was this one of the DC's first targeted signings, but Baun's been repeatedly compared to Andrew Van Ginkel for his play style and versatility, plus he works out with TJ Edwards in the offseason with all those guys having gone to Wisconsin. And Baun had one of the better days on day 1 of camp. Again, having said all this, really my favorite part is Fangio's willingness to just speak his mind. Just like sharing he really enjoys getting info from the analytics department, except he has his own special analytics system that he's used his entire career.
I can't look at it. It makes me laugh so.
Me too.
Real nice, you know? It's all class. Okay.
Don't do that anymore.
Yeah, believe me, I won't.
Look, I kind of feel the same way, and really I go for the eye test more than not. Yet the best part about this whole bit of info was hearing Fangio say that he's never shared his full process with anyone. So yeah, most of us already knew this, but just because you have a disciple of someone doesn't mean you're actually getting the Godfather. But thankfully, we finally got that one figured out. Of course, the area the Eagles are still trying to figure out is the right guard spot, which will most likely take all of camp and the preseason. However, Mekhi Becton got another chance to prove himself at guard, even though Landon Dickerson was back, albeit limited with the lacerated toe. As the only other two guys to miss were lineman Brett Toth, dealing with a hamstring, and then the new addition of linebacker Oren Burks, who's got a knee injury. Hopefully nothing major, because Burks is battling for a roster spot to begin with and not going to do him any favors to miss time. Which is the same thing that could be said for Hassan Reddick, with the Jets officially placing Haas on the reserve did not report list, meaning he'll be fined $50,000 for every absence from camp. Now, I know I've talked about this story a lot, so I'm not going to really linger here. However, it's just crazy to me. I don't even know how you could possibly botch this any more than you've already done. I mean, granted, yes, some people are saying that they could cut him, but that's absolutely not going to happen. But back to Eagles camp. Philly started out with some drills as usual, with Goddard getting in some catches, as Saquon ended up doing the same thing, and then some of the teams started with special teams drills. Of course, the group that Howie Roseman especially has his eye on is the receiving corps, in reference to his comment from day one that they'll always be looking for improvements. Meanwhile, according to Andrew DeCecco, some of the biggest competitions had Keely Ringo starting, and I should at least point out that it was Isaiah Rodgers who started on day one. And then Zack, Baun, and Devin White were the first team linebackers, with Mekhi Becton at left guard, like I mentioned previously. But it didn't take long for the NFL's strongest quarterback-running back duo to take advantage. With Brandon Lee out and sharing, Saquon lined out wide left and then motioned to the right as the ball was snapped, where Hurts took off running to the area Saquon had vacated for a big gain. And not only is that exciting based on the usage, but shout out to Nick Waters, because this could be a very similar reverse look at what we saw Kellen Moore use from time to time in LA. Plus, according to multiple reporters, Jalen looked noticeably faster and twitchier than he did last season. Granted, sure, it could be a number of things, including the fact that they don't have pads on, or even injuries from last year, but like I mentioned a number of times, situational running will keep the defense on its heels. And on the topic of speed, Kellen Moore elected to interestingly go with John Ross on a decent amount of first-team reps at wide receiver 3, so clearly a serious candidate to be looked at. Yet obviously the connection between Jalen and A.J. Brown is as strong as ever, with the two hooking up for one of the best plays of the day as A.J. beat Slay down the sideline. After that, the offense went with a running back focus as the O-line received praise from several media members in attendance, where Saquon Barkley and Kenny G got most of the first-team reps. However, rookie Will Shipley later broke free on a long run thanks to patience and some impressive cuts. So yeah, clearly a long way to go, but don't count out Ship for RB2. Anyway, the defense had enough, so attempted to change things up by bringing in rookie linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and cornerback Tyler Hall in the rotation for first-team defense, who, remember, Andrew DeCecco said to keep an eye on Hall as well as Ben Van Sumeren, with DeCecco pointing out BVS closing in on ball carriers with high-end speed and urgency, so it'll be interesting to see how he continues to play once the pads come on, especially since Fangio and others admitted the linebacker position is for sure one of the most competitive positions on the squad. So maybe not a surprise to see just about every possible combination of starters out there for linebacker. Yet even with the change-ups, it doesn't make Devin White's job much harder.
It really doesn't matter, long as I know my job, and try to learn their job as well. So if they, a little behind, or, if I want to kind of speed the process up for them, I can help them and say, hey, watch the 3 over if I know they the weak side hook or whatever. So I'm learning both positions just to be able to do my job and help with their job if needed, or just a little tip goes a long way. So I think it's easy playing with everybody, because everybody, is holding themselves accountable to know what they got to do and go out there and be productive.
Also, the other area that White mentions that it's no doubt a challenge to go up against the offense, but obviously that also makes them much better for it. And White said he's committed to that improvement, saying he created a group chat with Jalen and AJ named Accountability, with the goal to ensure they're always motivating each other and their teammates. But maybe the defense is going to need a little bit more motivation, because the offense kept pouring in plays, with ESP and Martin Frank sharing that DeVonta Smith probably made the catch of camp so far, after Hurts was pressured by Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, but managed to find Smitty, who caught the pass with his arms fully extended before he went out of bounds. I mean, let's just say QB1 was in his bag today, later hitting AJ on a slant route as Isaiah Rodgers and Ringo continued to alternate on the first team, and then later hit Swole Batman again, this time over the middle, with a much more focused usage of the middle of the field, which is obviously great and a given in Kellen Moore's offense. However, something that may not be great was right then and there Bradberry was swapping out with CJ Gardner-Johnson for first-team reps.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
As long as that doesn't happen in a game, we'll be fine. But after that, Jalyx Hunt was able to stifle the second-team offense, with EJ Smith pointing out a specific play where he made a leaping pass deflection on Kenny Pickett rollout. Again, showcasing that unique athleticism and anticipation, and then Bryce Huff followed that up, coming up with a sack and 11-on-11s on Jalen Hurts. I mean, sure, they're still without pads, so take that with a grain of salt. Yet for those doubting if Huff can be an every-down player, he's confident.
I'm just coming out here and doing what I got to do to get better every day. Using my hands, being physical in the run, taking good steps, and having my eyes where they need to be. I don't really know where that reputation came from. If you watch my film, I've been physical in the run since I've been in the NFL. I was starting year 2. I played a lot of run. I got good film. Year 3, whenever I was on the field, I got good film. And then last year, I put on good film in the run as well. So I'm not really sure where that reputation came from. I guess it's just because of my size that people would kind of assume that. But if you watch the film, I feel like I've done well in the run. I feel like that's definitely where it came from. Just the reputation. Well, not the reputation definitely came from that because we had so much depth and I was only playing third down. So people probably just assumed that I wasn't good versus the run because of that. But besides that, I feel like my film speaks more to my ability to stop the run than assumptions.
You gotta appreciate the fact that Agent Zero is a no-nonsense, all-football kind of player. Also, like I've said several times up to this point, I'm confident in Huff's ability, and Fran Duffy even did a breakdown of a limited sample size on how the former UDFA played the run. So sure, he'll be handling more snaps, but I think he's gonna be fine. Of course, you knew the offense couldn't let the defense have the last laugh as Jalen found Smitty one more time and has looked really sharp based on all accounts from camp. I mean, the dude would literally have a 100% completion percentage if it wasn't for 3 drops so far through 2 days of practice. Yet for those of you concerned about the defense, because, well, they're kind of getting shredded so far, don't be. I mean, for one, they're not in pads yet, but also they've got that iron sharpens iron approach and it goes both ways. Plus, you better believe Fangio's gonna hold the guys to the fire and get those corrections in.
He just call you out. Call you out one-on-one, call you out in front of the team, tell you that this not good enough or, this piss poor, this, say it again? Oh, he called you out by your name. He name, number, whatever the first thing come to his mind when we watching the film. We watch film together after practice in the evening, and he'll let you know, yesterday it was me on the downhill run. Jalen Carter got one on a block where he didn't do the right thing, but he also praises people too when they doing the technique the right way. He just not just a drag you through the mud type of coach. He pull you up when you're doing something good because the next person can learn from the good that another person doing. JD had a good practice yesterday. He was bending his legs, and that was one thing Coach Vic, he kept saying, like when your legs are bent and you in this type of stance, you gonna have a good down. And he was showing that throughout the film. So it's not just all about bad, but he will correct you in front of everybody. And you don't want that. That's not a good feeling, but you'll take it, you accept it, and you get better from it.
Look, you give me the option between that and what we had last year, and it's an absolute no-brainer. But the offense is taking that accountability too. Because even though Hurts ended up making a play out of Jalen Carter's wreckage, the O-line has to do better. Yet at the same time, it is the Breadman, and he's put in significant work this offseason to be in better condition and work on pass rush moves, with apparently some scary new additions to his arsenal.
Like I said, last year I didn't finish how I wanted to finish, but like I said, it's a new season, new me. You can see better out of me this year. A new move, I don't want to speak on it too much out there. People be watching from other teams. But there's a lot of stuff that I want to improve personally. That I did work on this all season, and I think should show you. I might see.
The idea of JC adding to his repertoire and now being paired up with Vic Fangio and Clint Hurts should probably be a scary thought for the rest of the league. After all, like Anthony DeBona pointed out, in 5 previous seasons combined, Miami's Zack had a total of 10 sacks. Yet just last season alone, under Fangio, he doubled that value with 10 in a single year. Or how about Christian Wilkins, who I've brought up in the past, but he had 11.5 sacks in 4 years combined before registering 9 sacks last season. And no offense to either of those guys, but Rhino's got a bit more potential than they do. So yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of numbers he puts up this season. Yeah, like I said, even facing JC, the O-line are holding themselves accountable. With Jordan Mailata sharing, he and some of the other guys on offense are holding each other accountable by running gassers after mistakes or coming up with other kinds of punishment. Also, on the topic of O-line, we didn't get much in terms of the Becton versus Steen battle, but it's good to hear Cam Jurgens is settling into the center role while feeling much more comfortable in the spot. Plus, the excitement for the changes in the offense are just contagious.
There's definitely different things. Some of the verbiage has changed, things like that. But when it comes to football and being a tight end, you kind of do the same thing. The routes are the same. It just might be in a different scheme a little bit. The quarterback reads when he gets to you might be different. And, I think that's cool how we've been dissecting it. You know where the quarterback's reads are. If you're not the first read, you're not the second read, you're the third read. You got a little bit more time at the top of your route, at the stem of your route to buy time. And, it doesn't matter if you're open too early. If the quarterback's not looking, he's not ready. So just trying to make sure we're on the same page, getting open when the quarterback gets his eyes to you is something that I've been really trying to focus on during OTAs and up until now. We've been definitely motioning a lot more. I think it's been really big for us so far, getting the linebackers to swap sides, getting the safeties to run, all the tells it gives you when you're motioning, and then it makes it harder for the defense to stay gap sound in the run game. So I think the motion is going to really help us, and hopefully it brings a lot of big plays for us.
Let me just say, if we're this early into training camp and the changes are this drastic, it's going to be crazy once the regular season gets here. By the way, the Eagles did make one change by signing wide receiver Griffin Herbert back to the team and waiving tackle Gottlieb Ayeds. Also, a quick note here, but my apologies on the whole pads thing. For some reason, I saw reports saying that it was going to happen today, and it actually didn't, so I don't know when it's going to be, but I'll keep you posted. Oh yeah, and quickly on the topic of Ainias Smith, because some people were asking, but according to Brandon Lee Gowton, it's been a tough camp for him so far, with Sub-Zero dropping a pass and then failing to come up with a contested grab later on. Plus, he's apparently also struggled with muffed punts, leaving Gowton to say his hands are looking like an issue. Of course, it's only day 2, so still plenty of time to turn it around. But having said that, lots of positives early, and it'll be interesting to see how the guys perform once the pads do come on. Anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts, comments, reactions, everything else. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.